Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu, and the Crew. I am Rebecca, and today we have some Dollar Tree craft ideas for y'all. So let's go over the supplies first. We'll need these painting trays from Dollar Tree. They come in a 6-pack. We'll also need some paint of your choice, some paint brushes, and then we'll use these miniature silver spoons from Dollar Tree and some puffy paint. We're also going to be using these ornaments I found at Dollar Tree so we can pull those little gingerbread off. If you can't find those, you could also get the wood-shaped gingerbread that you can paint yourself at the Dollar Tree and some baker's twine. We're going to use these wire garland ties and some wood grain shelf liner. I'm also going to be using a few of these vase filler foam balls from Dollar Tree and some of the foam rollers. These little miniature pacifiers are found over by the baby shower section. We'll need some hot glue, the dog nail clippers, and some scissors. And then I'll be using a wood burning tool so I can poke a hole in the top and some of the jingle bells and twine. So let's get crafty. The first thing we're going to do is take that wood burning tool and we're going to burn a hole in the top, just big enough to put a piece of twine or baker's twine through it to create a hanger. If you don't have a wood burning tool, you don't need it. There's other things you can use to poke a hole in the top. It's very thin plastic, so it wouldn't be hard to do. Or you could just make a loop with some twine to make a hanger on the back. Then we're going to take some black chalk paint and paint the trays. I'm going to do the front, the back, and the sides because you'll be able to see this from all angles on the tree. Now, for the chalk paint, I'm using the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. The Dollar Tree chalk paint in black will work perfectly fine for this. I use it all the time. I just ran out. I did do 2 coats of the paint just because it looked a little bit streaky with just the 1 coat, and I wanted to have a really nice full finish over top of the trays. Now we'll let those dry, and while they do, we'll take these miniature spoons and some twine, and we're just going to use a little bit of hot glue and wrap the handle of the spoon to make it look less like this little shiny hors d'oeuvre spoon and look a little bit more like a spoon that you would stir with from the kitchen. So we're creating like this little handle. And then once that's done, we'll take the foam rollers and we're going to cut them down a little bit. We'll cut through the wire with those dog nail clippers and go ahead and just pull the wire out. You may need to trim the foam down just a little bit. And then we'll take that shelf liner that looks like the wood grain from Dollar Tree. And what we're going to do is just pull the backing off and then roll it around the roller to make little miniature rolling pins. We'll cut off the excess and then trim the sides. And then we'll create some little handles. So that's where these little miniature pacifiers come in handy. So we're going to use the dog nail clippers to help trim off those little handles there. And then try to get as much of the plastic down as you can so you can get the bottom pretty flat, or at least small enough to fit in the center of the roller. And once you have it all trimmed down, then you can go ahead and just use a little bit of hot glue on the foam roller and pop these on the ends to look like the handles. And then I use some light brown paint to paint the ends so that it would blend in with the wood grain. And I did that for all 3. Now I'm taking some light gray paint and a dry paintbrush, and I'm just going to flick the paint over top of the trays to create that little speckled white look that you'll see in a lot of like baking trays and like different kind of bakeware. Less is more, so I always just start out with a little bit and take my time, and I keep adding more on the trays until I have enough of the white speckles that makes me happy. So, you know, some people would like a lot, some less. Some of you might not want to do that at all. I just leave them plain black. It's just really up to you. So that's what it looks like. It dries pretty quickly. So now we can go ahead and glue that spoon onto our little baking pan. And then our miniature rolling pin that we created, we can glue that on top. And then this gingerbread, he comes off pretty easily off of this metal background. Now these ornaments come in a 6-pack, and you get 3 little gingerbread men and 3 gingerbread women. I put a little bit of the wire tied garland at the top with some hot glue. I glued the gingerbread men to the top, and then I'll use the baker's twine to create a hanger. So I just pull that through the top, and then what I'm going to do is tie a knot here, because we're going to add some little jingle bells to the top before we add the hanger. So now we'll just slide the bells on, one on each side. The jingle bells at the Dollar Tree, you can get them this year in the silver, the red, gold, and green, and they have them in about 5 different sizes. Okay, so once the bells are on, we'll just tie those in a knot. And if you want, you can add a little bit of hot glue to help hold them in place where you want them to be so they don't kind of gravitate towards the back. And then the top of the baker's twine, just tie it in a loop so that you have the knot at the top. And then you've created your hanger for your ornament. So that's the first one. For the second one, we'll create these little candies to go in our baking dishes. So I'm taking those foam balls and I'm just going to push down on them to kind of create more of a flat appearance. And we'll do this for 12 of them. So we'll have 6 for each tray. And then we'll hot glue those into the tray. You want to hold them in place for just a second while the glue sets up a little bit. And then we'll take some of that puffy paint and create a design on our little foam balls there. So I'm just doing a little spiral for the second tray. I tried to make them look more like peppermint. So I did kind of like a wavy line all the way around. And if you just do a little bit of the puffy paint, it takes about 35 minutes for it to set up. Then I glued my spoon on just like I did with the first one, and then we do the rolling pin. You can glue these on in any direction, it's really up to you. I already added the hanger. We'll add some more of the wire garland at the top, and then another one of the little gingerbread men. And then if you like, you can add the jingle bells to the top of that one as well. So there's our first 2. And then the third one, like I said, I tried to make them look more like a little peppermint, and I did a red bell at the top there. So now for the supplies for our second DIY today, we're going to need some paintbrushes. We'll use some apple barrel paint, these little miniature party favor yo-yos. Over in the party section from Dollar Tree, I found this Play-Doh air dry clay there as well in white. We'll need a push pin and a piece of the earring jewelry maker. We'll need this little eyelet for the ornament. We'll need some ribbon, some scissors, and some hot glue. So let's get crafty. This is a really fun, easy ornament to make. So what we're going to do is first take our scissor and put it between the open space in the yo-yo and pry them apart, and then remove the string. You can keep the string if you like. I threw mine out. I really didn't need it for anything. And we're just going to separate all of the pieces of the yo-yo, and then we're going to paint them. So for the red one, I tried to coordinate the paint as best as I could so I wouldn't have to do as many coats. So like for the green one, I tried to do like a mint green color. The red one, I did pink. And then the yellow one, I used purple just because it was a little bit darker. And we're going to do 2 coats of paint and let those dry in between. And then I had 1 extra yo-yo. And what I do is I use that to kind of as like a sizer so I can figure out how big of a ball of clay I need to fit between the yo-yo pieces. So I just roll it into a ball and then flatten out the center. Once I have about the right size, I just take some hot glue, add that to one side, and then add that to the inside of the yo-yo. And then take the second piece with the stem that pops into the other side of the yo-yo, add some hot glue there, and then pop it together. And then we'll just keep working in this fashion until we get all of the yo-yos put back together and create these little fake macaroon cookies. So as you can see here, it's pretty easy to do. You can add hot glue to the inside of the yo-yo as well if you want to. And like you can tell, I didn't paint the inside of the yo-yo because it wasn't necessary. You don't see it at all. So we'll just keep putting these together, and then you could either put a hanger on these individually, or you can stack them like I do to create a larger ornament. I just love the way these turned out. Also, the air dry clay. I left my air dry clay white. If you want to, you can always paint the air dry clay, because usually for macaroons, they're about the same color filling as it is for the rest of the cookie. Some of them, they're not. I decided to leave mine white. So once they're all done, I take this push pin and I force it through the top of the cookie. It's a little bit hard to do at first, but once you get it about halfway in, then it'll pop through the top. We're just creating a little hole to be able to put the hanger in it. So as you can see, I did get the push pin in, and then I'll pull it out. And now we can take one of those little wire eyelets that are in the earring making kits that the Dollar Tree sells in silver and gold, and our dog nail clippers, and we'll cut this little eyelet down until we have it small enough that it'll go down into the top there, but still stick out from the top so we can put a hanger through it. So a little dot of hot glue just to help hold it in, and then we'll just force that down into the top, and then we have this little silver piece on top that we can put our hanger on. You could do these individually like this, or you could hang them from the side if you like, by taking that eyelet and just forcing it through the center. Or you can do them like this, like I'm doing, and just stack them using some hot glue. Now we'll do our next ornament. We're going to do the chocolate, the pistachio, and the vanilla looking cookie. Again, taking that push pin and forcing it through the top, and then cutting down that wire small enough that you can get it down into the center with a little bit sticking out, a little bit of hot glue to help hold it in place. And then using the hot glue to stack them. These are really easy to make. The longest part just waiting for it to dry. So like I said, you can take one of these eyelets if you like and just force it right through the air dry clay and create a hanger that way, and just hang them individually. That would also work. Okay, so now we're going to take the little wire tie and put that through the top, or you can use some baker's twine and just create your hanger. This is those little silver or gold wires that you can get for ornaments, like the DIY ornaments at Dollar Tree sells, and the 6-pack. That's what these little silver wires are from. Or you can use the topper from another ornament and just glue that to the top as your topper. You can stack them like this, like I said. You could organize them on a little tray, or keep them individual if you like. There's all different ways you can use to decorate with these this holiday season. But again, I wanted to make mine into the stacking ornaments, and I added a bow to the top. That's it for that DIY. And now for DIY number 3, the supplies. We're going to use a felt hand puppet and some green fur. I got these from the Halloween section. We can use felt if you can't find the hand puppet, and their faux fur that comes in the rolls. We're also going to use a pair of socks, the polyester fiber faux from Dollar Tree, and then some little rocks that you can use to fill the bottom. We'll use some of the jingle bells, and then some baker's twine. We're also going to use one of these rotary cutters. We'll need a pom-pom. We'll use green, these little tower blocks, and some decorative paper, some Christmas paper from Dollar Tree. One of these microfiber washcloths. We'll need some scissors and some hot glue. We're going to need some paintbrushes, and then some paint of your choice. We're going to use one of these little burlap bags with the tie at the top, and one of the DIY sleds. We'll also use some ribbon, some little accent pieces. So let's get crafty. So for this last craft today, it's a two-part. So I got this little hand puppet from the Dollar Tree over in the Halloween section. Now, if you can't find one, obviously it's a little late in the season now, you can just create this shape with felt and glue the sides together, and then you can have the same shape. It's a very simple shape, as you can see here. So instead of using it the traditional way, which would be the way it's sitting right now, where your fingers go on the sides and that closed end is at the top, we're going to actually flip this upside down. So I added some rocks to the bottom to make it heavy, and then I take some of the fiberfill and I'm going to stuff it down into the finger holes and down into the base until I get this pretty full, but I want to leave some space at the top to glue it closed. So I'm just going to add some hot glue and then scrunch it kind of all up together. It's okay if it doesn't stay in this little circle. If it's a little bit more flat, that'll be fine. It actually works out better for the hat portion. So now we'll take one sock and we're going to cut it right at the heel, straight across, and we'll use part of this for a sweater and part of it to make a hat. So for the sweater, we're just going to use the white part in the back. That's going to be like the collar. And then the white rim at the bottom will be for the bottom of the sweater. Then I'm going to take this Frankenstein off of the little pick there, cut off the felt, and we're going to pull the fur off of this whole piece here and just have the fur that's left behind with that material behind it. Like I said, Dollar Tree right now is selling rolls of faux fur in tons of different colors. I know they have green. I've seen it. I just couldn't find it the other day when I was there. And I already had these, so I really didn't look all that hard. But we're going to pull all of that felt off the top, and then we're going to cut a few small pieces off of the end, and that will be for the hands, and then one piece for the body, and then we'll use the second Frankenstein for the beard, because you get those in a 2-pack. So now what we're going to do is just trim off a little bit of the fur at the bottom to even it up a little bit. And we'll glue this onto the arms to create furry hands. Just using some hot glue. And we'll trim up the fur just a little bit, make it a little bit neater. And then we'll take that longer piece and we're going to glue this right across the center to create hair that will come out from the bottom portion. And then we're going to pull that top portion of the sock right up over top of this whole thing. And we'll kind of adjust it so we have the white part in the back so it looks like the collar, and then roll the front so it looks like the neckline around the front there. And now for the arms, you're just going to cut a tiny little hole above the arm and then slide the arm in the fur through the hole to create sleeves. And that is it. That's how hard it is to make the sweater. It's super easy. You're literally just cutting 2 little holes. I think it looks cute with the white rim around the bottom of the sock at the bottom there. It looks like a little Santa sweater. And you can glue this in place if you like. So now we're taking that second beard from the second Frankenstein and we're just folding it over to make it a little bit smaller and a little fuller. And then we will glue this where the beard would go using some hot glue, and you want to hold that in place until it dries. And you can trim the beard later, which I did. I just put it on full length to start with, and then I trim it later. And we'll take the pom-pom, we'll glue that on for the nose. It's a very simple Grinch gnome. And then we'll take the top portion of that sock where the toe was, and then the white part at the top, just organize it so it's a little bit more flat, and then that way you'll be able to bunch it up at the top. Then I take some hot glue and I glue the bottom part of that sock. I kind of roll it up just a little bit and then glue it so it looks like the brim of a hat all the way around. And then taking your baker's twine, you're going to tie off that top portion of the toe. I didn't stuff it or anything. I just tie it off with the baker's twine and create this little pom-pom. And then I flip it over and I tie the twine on the back. And I do cut this off. I'll add another piece later when I add some embellishments. So now we'll take one of those microfiber washcloths, and we're just going to cut about 1 inch wide all the way down with our rotary cutter. And then I make sure it's long enough to go all the way around the top portion of the hat there. I add some hot glue and I fold it over just to make it have a little bit neater edge. And then we'll start in the center and glue it right over top of the nose to make sure that it's going to cover. And then add a little bit of hot glue at a time and work your way around the hat, making sure it's down around the edge and meeting up with the top of the sweater and the bottom edge of the hat. As you can see here, I just add a little bit of glue at a time and work my way all the way around until I get the pieces to connect in the back. And then my cats are always helping me. As you can see here, I added some jingle bells to the top of the hat. Using the baker's twine, I did a little bow. He loved the jingle bells and the ribbon, so he was really trying to steal them. And as you can see, I trimmed his beard a little bit. So there's the Grinch gnome, really easy to make. And now we'll take some of those building blocks and we're going to glue those together in different shapes and sizes to create these little miniature presents, because we're going to make him a big sleigh with a huge bag of presents that he stole from Whoville. So we're just making a bunch of different sizes of box shapes that we can cover in this decorative paper. And how many you make is really up to you. I chose to do 3 different sizes. Once you have all your pieces glued together, then you can cut your paper down to size and start wrapping your blocks that you created to look like your presents. And this scrapbook paper is perfect for that. Dollar Tree has a packet of paper out right now with some different holiday paper that I showed in the supply section. I found it about 2 or 3 weeks ago over by the stickers, and you can use that. I chose to use some different paper that I had, just had a little bit brighter colors that I liked, and we're just going to use hot glue to glue this on, and I'm literally wrapping it just like I would a gift. Instead of tape, I'm just using hot glue. And then we'll take some ribbon and we'll add ribbon to these. We'll add a little bit of flowers or greenery. Some cute little pine cones or berries would work as well. The jingle bells, whatever you like to kind of dress these up and really make them look like presents. So like for this one, I had this really cute little bell that I had, or light that I had. I've had this probably for like 3 years. I bought them in a pack at Hobby Lobby on clearance for like 10 cents. And every once in a while, I'll use 1 or 2 from my storage box and add them to, some of my decorations when I create little things like this. So they're always fun to have those little things on hand. Then we'll add some little greenery to the sides of the gift just to dress it up a little bit. And these little fake berries, that looks cute too. And that's our little present. So I did a couple different ones. And now we'll work on the sled. So I'm going to paint the runners of the sled this dark red. It's called Tuscan Red by Apple Barrel Paint. And make sure I get all of the edges on the inside, underneath, and the sides. I just did 1 coat of paint. It was thick enough to cover all of the wood. I really wasn't too worried about seeing a little bit of the wood grain through the paint. It kind of added to the vintage look of it with a little bit of the paint, not covering completely on the edges. I took a little bit of antiquing wax on a wet wipe, and I just wiped that across the top to add kind of a weathered look to the wood. And here's our sled all dry. And we'll take one of these bags from Dollar Tree. It says Merry and Bright. We'll create his big sack of presents. We're going to use polyfill again from Dollar Tree to fill up the majority of this bag, pretty full. And then we'll add a gift to the top and pull it tight to make it look like the presents are falling out because he's collected so many. We'll add some hot glue here around the edges to help hold it into the package. And then once we've got it in place and it's pretty much dry, we'll tie this little tie at the top, just in a little knot, and that helps hold the ties in the front so it doesn't gravitate towards the back. I wanted the string for the bag to be more towards the front. So it's pretty light, so it's going to sit up pretty good on this sled. And of course, it's a lot bigger than the sled. That's intentional because in the movie, obviously, he has a huge pack of presents on top of his sled that, it's just ginormous. And he's got that sled. It's just so much on top of that tiny little sled. I add the presents on the outside. I kind of glue them to the bag to help hold them in place. And since the bag's really light with that polyfill, it sits up really nicely on the sled. I just add some hot glue all the way around to help hold everything in place. And then you can pair him with the Grinch, your little sled and presents with the Grinch. And that is our final craft today. Our ornaments, obviously. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make these with me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.